Hi there, guys. This is for my GCSE students. We're going to look at a technique for making estimates using one significant figure. Now, I'm taking this from the Edexcel Pearson IGCSE 9-to-1 book, page 303. It's the number from Unit 5. It's the number section from Unit 5. Now, there's some nice examples that you can go through from the book. And yeah, there we go. So we can have a look at some of these examples here. I'm not going to do that here. I'm going to look at some of the examples from the exercise instead. But there's some nice worked examples from the book as well. Okay, so I've looked at taking exercise 2 start, and I'm going to do questions 1 to 4 here. And so let's have a little look at the first one. So it says, estimate the answers to these. So we've got 3.1 times 19.7, all divided by 14.8. Okay, so when we do a technique of using one significant figure for each of these numbers, we're going to need to take one significant figure for each of these numbers. So 3.1 is going to become 3. Okay, so remember, first most significant place is the 3, the first non-zero number to the left, and you can draw a line off, and you can say, is it 5 or more? No, it's not, so we don't need to add anything to the number in front. Okay, so that's just 3, and we don't need to write 3.0 there because the 3 is already in the correct place. So we don't need any more zeros to hold the place of the 3. The 3 is in the units place. That's good. Okay, and if we got 19.7 as well, again, first most significant place here is the 1. Draw a line off. Is the next number 5 or more? Yes, it is. So we add 1 onto the 1 in front. Sorry, that's getting a little bit messy there. But if we add 1 onto the 1 in front, we're getting a 2. And then obviously the number is nowhere near 2, so we need to write 20. Okay, so we need that 0 there to hold the 2 in the correct place, in the tens place. So we've got it to one significant figure. That's in the tens place still, so that's good. Okay, we don't need the 0.0 on the end again because the 2 is already in the correct place. Okay, and we've also got 14.8 here. And again, the first most significant place is the 1. We draw a line off. We've got 4 in the next place. Well, that's not 5 or more, so we don't need to add anything more to the 1 in front. So this is just going to be 1, and then we still need to hold that place. So we're going to say 1 and 0, so 10. Okay, so we've still got one significant figure, and it's in the right place. It's in the tens place, like this was here as well. Okay, so there's our 3 numbers which we're going to use. So now we're going to say 3 times by 20, and then divided by 10. And it's up to you how you want to deal with this one now. You might want to do 3 times 20 is 60, and then divide by 10 is 6. Or you might realize that you can cancel a 0 from the top and the bottom there as well. Basically, divide the top and bottom by 10. So you can get directly to 6. Alternatively, if you don't like doing calculations in your head, at this stage, once we've done the process, you can do it on your calculator. And IGCSE allows you to do that. That's not really the point of estimation, but in the exam, you're allowed to use a calculator. So there you go. So you can also write your curly equals sign there too. So that means approximately equals 2. So this thing is approximately equals to 3 times 20 divided by 10, which is equal to 6. 60 divided by 10 is 6. Okay, so let's have a look at the next one. Okay, so again, for this one, now I'm not going to do all the significant figures again, kind of longhand, because you should be getting quite quick at these now, since we've had some practice of that before. So we've got, for the first one there, this is going to become equals to 50. So that's to the nearest 10. Again, one significant figure. And this number is trapped between 90 and 100 in the tens place. So it's actually closer to 90, but if we had a 5 or more after the 9, we'd actually have to go up to 100, which would be the next 10. You know, if we count in tens, we go 70, 80, 90, 100, 110. So this is times by 90 and then divided by 4. Okay, well, for this one next, there's different ways in which you can do this. I think most people would probably do 5 times 9, which is going to give you your 45. and then add your 2 zeros on the end there as well. It's basically like saying 5 times 10 times 9 times 10. And we can do the 5 times 9 first, and then the times 10 times by 10 twice afterwards. Okay, and then we've got to divide this thing by 4. Now, again, you can do this on your calculator. I would show this for my working to start off with, but you might also want to do this without a calculator. And dividing by 4, you can do a short division technique like this, or you can halve it twice. Now, short division might be something you go for. So 4's into 4. How many 4's into 4? Goes once. No remainder. How many 4's goes into 5? Goes once. 1 times 4 is 4, so there's a remainder of 1 up to 5. The 1 can go there. 4's into 10 goes twice, with a remainder of 2. 4's into 20 goes 5 times. Now, alternatively, you could have done this, getting an answer there of 1,125. But alternatively, you could have said, let's halve it twice. So dividing by 4 is the same as halving twice. So again, you may have different methods for doing this, but to halve twice, you might want to say, okay, well, let's kind of make a halving machine here, okay? So 4,000 divided by 2 is 2,000. 500 divided by 2 is 250. Put them back together again, and you get 2,250. Okay, there's my halving machine. I'm splitting my number up. I'm doing my halving, and I'm putting it back together again. And I'll need to do the same for 2,250. Okay, so we've got 2,000, we've got 200, and we've got 50. We can halve each of those things, 100, 125, and then let's put them all back together again. And we've now got 1,125. Either way, guys, you should have techniques for doing that at this stage, but there's some examples for you. Okay, so the final answer for this one is 1,125. Okay, let's look at the next one. So the next one says 1.98 cubed. So that's going to be roughly equals to, now, first most significant place for this number, 1.98, is in the units position. We draw a line off. We look at the next number. Is it 5 or more? Yes, it is. So we'll need to add 1 to the one in front. We've got 2. We don't need to write 2.00 because the 2 is in the right place. It's in the units place. So this is approximately equals to 2 cubed. 2 cubed now equals to 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. Okay, pretty straightforward. Okay, now for the last one, I'm going to break the rules a bit here. So although we have this rule, which is we're going to use one significant figure in our calculations, so all of our numbers up, we're going to use one significant figure for all of those things. Here, we might need to think about doing something slightly more clever. Okay, so you can break the rules a little bit if you make clever choices for numbers. Now, let's have a little look at the first part. So the first part is going to become 4 cubed. So 4.1 to one significant figure is 4. So the nearest whole number is 4 cubed. Then we've got divided by 2 squared. Okay, so dividing by 2 squared because 2.1 to one significant figure is 2. And then with this last bit, so you can put that in brackets there. But to be honest, it doesn't matter because when you have division and multiplication, if there were no brackets, you'd read just from left to right anyway. Because remember, with BIDMAS, okay, division and multiplication are equally as important. The same as addition and subtraction are equally as important. So you would read those ones from left to right if there were no brackets. So actually, you don't need brackets here. Okay, so and then we've got this times by, and we've got the square root of. Now, 25.6 is 30 to one significant figure, but I don't know what the square root of 30 is. I know what the square root of square numbers are. Square numbers are 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4, 5 times 5, 5 times 5, and 6 times 6, and so on. Okay, now I can see that this number is really close to 25. So why would I use 30, seeing as I don't know how to square root 30? So in this case, we're not going to use 30. We'll use the square root of 25. So we're breaking the rules there because it makes it a bit easier. And we just had to think what's an easier number for our calculation, which is close to 25, 25.6. Now, sometimes that happens with division as well. We had one the other day, I think, where we did 240. I think the number was 252 divided by something like 80. Okay, and so this one rounded off to one significant figure would be 300. Get 300 divided by 80, but 300 is not in the 80 times table. And if you realize that 240 is in the 8 times table and therefore in the 80 times table, then that's a much better number to choose. Okay, so sometimes you can think about choosing more sort of clever numbers than just going to one significant figure. Okay, now finally to finish this question, we've got 4 cubed is 64. Do it on your calculator if you want. And divided by 2 squared is 4. Okay, so we've got 64 divided by 4 there. Okay, but I can also see that 4 cubed divided by 4 is the same as 4 squared. So I know that's going to take me to 16. Okay, so, but at this stage you can do those things on your calculator if you wish to. So remember, of course, that we have to do things using BIDMAS, and BIDMAS tells us to do our indices before we do our division. Indices are your powers, also your square roots as well. So in this case, you're going to do 64 divided by 4, in brackets if you want, it doesn't matter, and then times by square root of 25 is 5. So we've done all of our indices now, okay, and now we've got 64 divided by 16, so 64 divided by 4 is 16, and then times by 5. And finally, you can think about your 5 times table. 10 lots of 5 is 50, and 6 lots of 5 is 30. Put them together, and your answer is, let's squeeze it in, your answer is 80 there. Okay, so there's your final answer for this question. Guys, I hope that's helpful. Just a recap on this one. The technique for estimation, which you need to show when you're working out, is always to use one significant figure for each of the numbers which you choose. The only time when you break that rule is when you can think of better numbers to use, which are very close to the numbers that you have. For example, using 25 there instead of 30. Okay, well, thanks for listening and hope to see you for the next one.